What's going on, everyone? Daniel here, and welcome to my Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 spoiler review. Again, spoilers. Make sure you have seen the film. If you want my quick little thoughts on it, it's solid, it's really fun, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, bigger, better, more emotional, all that, man. And Kurt Russell, man. Anyway, getting on to spoilers, make sure everyone's out of here. And this is a big thing. We're gonna start talking about it. We're gonna get into stuff. We're gonna dive deep into this, man. So there's gonna be a few cuts because I'm gonna be going to different subjects. Anyway, I showed this in my quick review for this film, but I ended up getting an IMAX poster. I have seen an IMAX 3D. It's really fun, and it's not my favorite Marvel film, but I did enjoy it more than the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And I enjoyed the first Guardians. I won't say it's my favorite cinematic universe film, the first one nor this one, but this is definitely bigger, better, everything like that. From villain to the action to even more of the better effects. I mean, it's truly amazing what James Gunn can do and the team at Marvel, and I want to see more James Gunn. Kurt Russell's fantastic, and that's where we're going to go on with the spoiler review. We're going to go right into this and talk about the deaths and talk about the decisions of the characters and whatnot. So anyway, thank you again for joining me. I am, as right now, the quick review is already out for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 from me, and in the next few days, my full movie review, which there are no spoilers in there, but my full movie review will be out where there's pros, cons, and a final score. In here, it's just me talking about spoilers and what I liked and what I didn't like. I could kind of go more in detail and tell you this I didn't like, maybe you liked that, maybe you didn't. So anyway, let's get right into the thing that I find the biggest. This is the biggest thing out of the film. Right after I walk out of the theater, this is what I would be telling everyone, and we would be discussing this. Ego being the villain. Kurt Russell ended up being the villain, and it kind of sucks because 2 days before that I ended up getting spoiled. I was on YouTube going through comments, didn't know that there was going to be a spoiler there. No, was it Facebook? It was Facebook, or was it YouTube? It was one of those, and I was going through the comments, and someone said, and not even warning or anything, they just said Ego's the villain and he wants to destroy the universe or something, take over the universe. And I was like, please don't be true, please don't be true. And I clicked out of it and I was like, fuck. And then it ended up being true. So I'm kind of pissed off, but at a certain point of the film you could kind of guess, because Mantis is like, I had to tell you something, so you kind of could have already predicted it by then anyway. But Ego being the villain. Now let me tell you, Kurt Russell was fantastic in here. I'm a huge fan of Kurt Russell. But him, first off, he looks badass. He looks amazing in here. He does win you over. Like, kids, you believe in Ego, and you're like, this guy is nice. This guy's amazing. Go with him, Peter. Go with him. And then he ends up being this monster. So you believe him to be the celestial god, which he is. Which my jaw dropped. I literally, when he said I'm a celestial, a god, basically, I was like, what the fuck? I literally was, oh my god. Come on, people. Come on. What the, yeah. This is big. This is huge. And even with the Peter being immortal for a very little time, I found that fascinating and all that. And let me tell you, even the changes in the backstory and the shapes of how Ego changed, and even the just beautiful Ego, the living planet, of the face on the planet for that very little instant. I didn't know they were going to do that. I was thinking it's going to be stupid. They're not going to show it. And I'm so happy that James Gunn actually made it happen. That was fantastic. I applaud you, James Gunn, for that. Kurt Russell did amazing. I think that was the strongest component, and I said that in my quick review. The strongest thing about this film, the 10 out of 10, I don't think the film's a 10 out of 10, but the storyline of Peter Quill and Ego is my favorite thing out of the film. That is a 10 out of 10. It does have, little problems or things here and there with that storyline, but it's the strongest out of the whole film. Not like the Ravinder stuff and the Aisha stuff. It's the father and son story. That's the biggest thing out of it, and I have to say Kurt Russell did an amazing job. I've already said this a lot. How scary and how many shapes he's turned into, where he's just a beam of energy and then he turns skeleton, and that shot where he has a bunch of muscle growing and he's all the molecules are coming back and he turns back into Ego, Kurt Russell. That was fantastic, from the effects to the acting, and how crazy you could see in Ego's eyes that he believes in what he's doing, and that shocking twist when he ended up revealing that's why I was sad and that, I didn't want to, and blah blah blah. I put the tumor, and that's why I put the tumor in your mom. That scene right there was a huge, and that changes everything. And the way that Peter reacts, and boom, 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 blasting at him, man. It honestly, it's huge. It was a big twist, and the changing of the tides, the changing of direction. So honestly, it was kind of weird seeing Peter kind of being hypnotized and stuff, and I wasn't buying that really until he revealed that, and how much Ego's a douche, and how he went to all the planets and he basically impregnated a whole bunch of species, which is creepy and weird, and it worked, and you just became disgusted with Ego. You kind of loved Ego when he was introduced, and you kind of fall in love with this character and this fantasy of the Ego, the living planet world that he had. It's beautiful, the design is fantastic, and then he ends up being this monster. That right there I find so fascinating about this film. Next up, I want to talk about Yondu's death, who is played by the amazing Michael Rooker, a fan favorite. Yondu was awesome in the first Guardians, and then now him coming back, who has even a bigger role, and more awesome role, of course, with the prototype Finn and his arrow going. I mean, there's the scene stealer with Rocket and Groot. That was amazing. Now, Yondu's death, I feel, could have been prevented, and I definitely, in my opinion, I don't think it should have ended the movie, because Rocket's looking up and then ends the film. You know what I mean? That's it. We ended the first Guardians with them a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, maybe a little bit of both. They're gonna go and do whatever, right? They're gonna go on another mission. And then this one just ends with Yondu's, it was emotional, it got me. Not as emotional as, say, Charles Xavier and Logan, or even the end of Logan. That made me bawl even harder. And I love Yondu. I think he was really cool, and I think he did go out in a way of oh, it's sad, and all that. But it could have been prevented. First off, Rocket stealing the batteries. You shouldn't have done that, because it created an annoying thing in the movie with Aisha's people coming. It just became a huge joke. Aisha just coming after them all the time. All the time. Oh, here's all the ships, and boom, 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 and they're not even being piloted by anyone, and so that just became annoying for me, honestly. I don't think the character Aisha is annoying. I just think the whole Golden Army and this little thing that they're doing, I feel, because we really don't know much about them. I didn't get a whole summary about them, or why they do what they do, or they're just high beings or whatever. But anyway, we're talking about Yondu's death. I really think that I'm bummed out. I really am bummed out, because I really thought he would have been awesome in Infinity War and being part of the war against Thanos. And I get the whole connection between, I am your daddy. I am your daddy, Peter. I get all that. And honestly, it's emotional. I love that part. I get it. I understand it for the story, but again, it all could have been prevented. All of it could have been prevented. And really, if Yondu didn't die, if we would have just had a regular ending and only Ego died, that was basically it, that would have been fine. Because I guess when Yondu died, I felt like nobody had to die. Ego already died. Nobody needed to die. There was no, we need another character to die. We didn't need no one else to die. It was kind of a pointless, in a way, death. I get it for the story. But they could have easily gone on the ship and said, I am your daddy, Peter. You could have just done that. You didn't need to, you know what I mean? It could have been another way. Rocket could have freaking went and, gone and helped and stuff you know what I mean? It could have been prevented. And I get it. Maybe I'll start to love it after a few more times of watching the film, but for right now, after one viewing, Yondu dying, It doesn't ruin the film or anything. It doesn't make it like, this is why. But it's still kind of a way like, you could have done this. You could have done that. Michael Rooker's awesome. I wanted to see him more in the future. I guess not. And just like I said a few moments ago about Aisha, how annoying she got with her army, or the Golden Army, or whatever they're called. Stuff like that. I think the opening scene was awesome, with them fighting the big monster and Groot dancing around. Very reminiscent of, obviously, the first Guardians, where Peter's dancing to Come and Get Your Love. Stuff like that, like he's dancing around and stuff, and that's all amazing to ELO Mr. Blue Sky. That's amazing, and honestly, I laughed, and I thought it was cute, and Baby Groot does still many scenes, but Aisha is kind of like, she pops up, and yeah, it's cool, the set design's amazing, and she's all like, here is Nebula, here she is, thank you for killing the monster. But honestly, whatever these batteries, you have to have more batteries or something. I get it, they stole your batteries, but to constantly, every 40 minutes, to show up in the storyline, they stole our batteries, I get it, the monster was going to come for the batteries and stuff, and like, but I get it, I really, really do, but it's still, I get it with the side story. I'm just saying, it gets annoying a lot, and then how she's creating Adam Warlock at the end, and I know in the storyline, Adam Warlock and her, Aisha, is like somehow related or something, brother and sister or something like that. I get that, and I know someone's gonna be like, that's all you say, I get it, I get it, I get that. I'm sorry for repeating myself, I'm trying to think here. With things like that, I have no real, because it's still like 4 years away from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. No, there's no date set to it yet. With her, I found it annoying again with the Golden Army. I think Aisha, the character's fine. I don't mind seeing her in the future. But again, it's like, look at you. You guys are all made out of gold and stuff, and you're all golden, and please, the place you're living in is millions and millions of billions of dollars, and you're complaining about a few batteries stolen. I think power is still working for you guys, so you need to calm down. They killed a big-ass monster, and okay, Rocket stole a few batteries. All you want is Rocket. Why do you want to destroy the whole Guardians of the Galaxy if the one person stole your batteries? It's not like all of them were like, yeah, Rocket, steal the batteries, you know what I mean? So she just took it out of context and wants to kill all of them, when one guy only took it, was just Rocket. So what? You know what I mean? I just think it was kind of, Aisha, the character, just made it a huge deal when you're like made out of gold and everything's all golden and stuff, and you're the queen or whatever. Get new batteries, whatever, big deal. The batteries were, I don't even want to talk about any more of this scene. The batteries were pretty easy to steal. You don't have any patrol going on. You don't have people looking after it. Plus, Rocket opened the bag, and there were people around, and no one noticed that there were golden batteries in his bag. I'm just saying. Now, something about these Marvel films that I've been noticing, and hopefully you guys have been noticing as well over the past few films, is the CGI making the actors look very young. From Michael Douglas and Ant-Man looking 20 years younger, from Robert Downey Jr. looking 30 years younger in Civil War, from who else? Someone else got the CGI treatment in another film. I don't remember who. Maybe it was just them two, and then of course now Kurt Russell, looking 30 years younger. I mean, how do they do it? It looks fantastic. And the opening was fine. I was kind of thinking, oh, who's this? And then I see Kurt Russell, and I'm like, damn, Kurt Russell young, the CGI. Or whether it was, I don't know, I'm thinking it's CGI. It could have been good makeup, but I'm pretty sure it was CGI. And you get to see the love and bond between Meredith, and it was all fine until they go and there's a CGI plant on the ground, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. This is what we're opening up to. It's kind of weird that no one stumbled. Out of all the years, nobody stumbled on that plant, and like, oh, this doesn't look normal. It's right behind the Dairy Queen. Someone has to go back there and see a damn plant. I don't know. Maybe in SpiderMan Homecoming we could have a, young Michael Keaton CGI scene. Maybe. I think that'd be really cool as well. Maybe. Now, when I was writing down all the stuff for this spoiler review and I was making pointers and like, oh, this stuff I like, this stuff I don't like, I ended up thinking about a plot hole which I don't think ever got resolved. And I don't know whether it'll be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know whether it'll be on this. Obviously, this was 2 months after Guardians of the Galaxy 1, so this was a while back. Why hasn't it been referenced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? The goo, the plant that... I said like the goo. The plant and whatever that Ego planted on Earth and all these... But Earth most of all, it exploded, right? And there was a bunch of goo and it overtook the Dairy Queen and stuff. What happened? Unless I've heard it was in some other movie, what happened? I'm assuming people died. Buildings were broken. What happened? I guess once Ego died, obviously it must have either disintegrated or whatever, but what happened? Why haven't we heard about this incident in any other Marvel film or anything like that? What happened to the goo that was on Earth and the destruction? Where were the Avengers? Where were any of the local people? There were civilians killed, police officers killed, and what happens? They never go back to Earth. What happens? Are we going to find out in Infinity War? But it's like 4 years later once Infinity War begins, so I don't know if that's a plot hole or if they just never to mention, but what happens on Earth with the goo? Also, like I said earlier, Nebula, played by Karen Gillan, who is a very beautiful woman, and I find Nebula attractive as well. If I had to pick between Gamora and Nebula, I'd pick Nebula. Just saying. I love Gamora. Zoe Saldana, hell yeah. But I'll go with Nebula because it's feisty, you know. It's a little bit like she'll break your arm if you say no or something. It's just like, that's cool. I'm pretty sure I would cry a lot, and then it'd be like this. You see that? That doesn't look normal, does it? No, it doesn't. Anyway, so stuff like that, but Nebula's amazing. And again, I think Nebula was a hit and miss in this film. Not Nebula herself, but Nebula and Gamora going at it. It was kind of a hit and miss. I felt like it could have had a bigger part in the film, but also it was just toned down in many senses. Like, I think their fights were alright. I understand the storyline for it, and I want to see more of it. I get that you have daddy issues. I understand all about daddy and stuff like that. I get it. Again, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but it's kind of a hit and miss. Does anyone else think that? It's a hit and miss storyline between Nebula and Gamora. As well, Nebula really sucked at killing Gamora. Like, trying to kill her. She's like, idiot! And, like, she's not even hitting her. I know the bullets aren't, like, going everywhere, but maybe if you shift the ship this way, or you didn't even hit Gamora one time. I found it funny that she kept on coming back at every angle. That was cool. And she ended up crashing the ship and all that. But again, it's a hit and miss in a way. And also, why aren't you an assassin? Like, both of you are assassins or whatever, right? So why couldn't you just kill her easily shooting the ship? Unless you're just trying to scare tactic her and trying to get her in a place for you so you can get out of the ship and kill her. But still, I'm interested to see where Nebula and Gamora go next in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But for the story, it was a hit and miss. Not as much as the Ravengers, though. See, I think this is how it goes. Ego and Peter Quill is number one, which is great. And then what was really good in the film was Nebula and Gamora. And then what was just okay, it was alright, was the Ravengers. So 1, Ego. 2, Nebula and Gamora, and 3 is just the Ravengers. Like, first is the worst, second is the best, third is the one with the hairy chest, but first ain't the worst. Anyway, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The ugly was the Ravengers. And not the bad. Honestly, I'm messing up with terms. Anyway, the Ravengers, like, Taserface. It's stupid funny, and I like James Gunn's taste. I love the practical effects. I get all that as well. But Rocket Raccoon really was a scene stealer there. We get to learn a little bit more about Yondu and kind of their chemistry on screen as Rocket and Yondu. And then Baby Groot has a lot of cute scenes in there as well, even where he's dragging a desk. But the Ravenger storyline kind of was a little... You know those movies where you really enjoy it so far, and then there's that one scene where it just drags on, and you're kind of thinking, like, this is a scene that I could fast forward when I own it on Blu-ray. Or, in a sense, say, like, I'm watching Guardians 2, and I'm watching it, but I have tickets for tomorrow as well, so I'm going to watch it a second time tomorrow, say. And everything's fine, but then that one scene, you're just kind of like, I gotta sit through this scene. I just gotta sit through this scene. Come on, come on, come on. I know you have better, like, get to the good scene. I know the scene's like in 10 minutes, so like, you have to sit through a 10-minute scene that just drags on forever. Stuff like that. The Ravenger ship scene that's the scene that just drags on for a while, and it's like, just skip that scene and get to them breaking out or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it does drag on for quite a while, and it's almost like when X-23 and Logan, when she found that camp with all of the other mutants and the kids, and then Logan passes out, and then they wake up next to him, and they're like, you were sleeping. That kind of was just a drag. So we could just get to them running in the woods and the action. You know what I'm saying? And it's story build-up and all that, but not every scene has to be, you know, fantastic. But I will say the Ravenger stuff and the Taserface, it's metaphoric. I get it. Ha 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 ha. It's still, I'm just saying, it's a little, you know, it's a little that. It's a little shite. It's more of like, yeah, let's just skip this. Let me fast forward 3 minutes ahead so I don't have to hear this shite. Now shifting gears from the Ravengers to Mantis. I found Mantis as a really cute character. The actress who played her did an awesome job. The makeup's amazing as well. She's very cute, very with her and Drax have amazing chemistry, and I think Drax did an awesome job. Dave Bautista is fantastic as well. That's a lot of his scene stealers is when he's with Mantis. But I do have to say, I know Mantis has her powers. Now, what I thought Mantis was gonna like have a sword and gonna kind of fight and stuff. I guess I was wrong, but I heard Mantis was like, she's a badass. Because I remember when they said Mantis was gonna be in the film, and people were like, she's a badass, she's gonna be amazing. I didn't see her with a sword or anything. I didn't see her really fighting. But in a way, I'm kind of like, okay, I think she's gonna be in Infinity War, so that's exciting, and she's part of the Guardians of the Galaxy now. But it's still sort of a thing like, what do you do besides put ego to sleep for a little bit and feel people's feelings? And it's cute, and I like Mantis, and I loved all her scenes. I get it. I'm killing myself for that. I get it. But with Mantis, it's kind of like she's Caliban in this film in a way. Like we're just using you for the story. Like Caliban could locate mutants. We're just using you for the story. Mantis, we need you to, ego-wise, we'll just use you for the story. But and nothing wrong with that. She was perfect in the film. Better than Caliban. Way better than Caliban. I won't technically refer like Caliban in the film, because Caliban had awesome makeup, but it was just like he wasn't needed in Logan. He was just a story plot. He was just a thing for the plot. Mantis actually had purpose, and she was awesome, and she's cute. So I want to see more Mantis in the future, and maybe Drax and Mantis can have a thing going on in Infinity War. Who knows? Alright, before I get on to my final thing, which we'll be talking about Stan Lee's cameo and probably the post-credit scenes, Sylvester Stallone. Oh man, I really enjoyed his character as the Stan Lee called Starhawk. I wanted to see more of him. When that ice planet, when we saw him and he was yelling at Yondu and stuff, he already knocked it out of the ballpark. Sylvester Stallone's amazing. If you've seen that scene from Rambo where he's crying and everything, and at the end, he's like, oh my god, like that's when you see Sylvester Stallone. And even seeing Rocky, it's like, this guy's amazing. And he is. And seeing him in here, it's like you want to see more of him. And it's like, come on, he ain't getting any younger. Show him. They'll probably have a CGI young him too, and then next time he appears. But more Sylvester Stallone. We need more of him. The little tease you gave us is just like, he's a badass. Maybe he can help the Guardians out one day, because he has his own team of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what they were teaming up at the end with, his own team from the comics, which was pretty exciting. Now going on to Stan Lee real quick with his cameo. I find that a fantastic as well. Probably Fantastic Four one day, but I find it fantastic that James Gunn actually did the fan theory and are just having fun with it. And it's like, yep, he's a Watcher, or possibly he's talking to the Watchers. That look pretty creepy. I don't think the Watchers even talk. They kind of just walked away, and he was like, "Hey, you guys are my ride home, Excelsior, you know." Excelsior, I was a FedEx guy. Oh, then I was posing as Hugh Hefner. Yes, yeah, I was a general in World War II, and it was like, I thought he'd be taller, you know. And so, wow, Owen Wilson coming in this place now. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Stuff like that. I don't know why I just turned Stanley into Owen Wilson. I really don't. But it was odd. Like Stanley is getting more dialogue every time. The Godfather of comics, the King of comics. Fantastic the way that James Gunn, you know, bless you, James Gunn. SpiderMan Homecoming, whatever his cameo is in there. I think this has to be one of my favorite cameos, at least. Probably, I like the Doctor Strange one. I like the Amazing Spider-Man one, but this one has to be just because of the fan theory, and they did it. They really didn't go into context with it. It has to be real because it's in all the films, and I get it. It's just a cameo to be a cameo, but it has to mean something. It has to mean it. Also, when they were going, like Rocket and Yondu, and they were going through a bunch of the portals or whatever, and they were going fast, and they ended up passing Stan Lee, I think they should have. I really wish they would have gone past Asgard. Just imagined it if they kind of teased Thor Ragnarok in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Not Jeff Goldblum dancing at the end, which didn't lead up to anything, actually, which was still cool. Yes, Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum. Fantastic. Eric Levison. Independence Day. Yes. Jeff Goldblum. Anyway, I'm sorry, I get into this Jeff Goldblum phase. I've had dreams about him. I'm like, Jeff Goldblum, and I'm like, dude, you're amazing. He's like, thank you. Anyway, going away from that, the whole, if they passed Asgard, or if they did, even where the Grandmaster lives, where Jeff Goldblum, and imagine if you just see Thor and the Hulk fighting, but then again, it's not taking place. I know, it's horrible. But still, imagine if it teased something of Thor Ragnarok, man. That would have been fantastic. I'd be crazy. Don't get Jerry Seinfeld. It's a horrible impression. Anyway, I think that's really wrapping it up with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We talked about Ego. Talked about Nebula and Gamora, and we already talked about the Raven. That's the three basic things of Guardians. That's it. The action was awesome. The effects were awesome. The jokes, more from the middle to the end, were better than the first half. And it is definitely a solid film of a superhero film, and Marvel knocks it out of the ballpark again. It's awesome. It's not a 10 out of 10. I think certain parts of the films are 10 out of 10, but it's still enjoyable, and it's a solid film for entertainment and blockbuster popcorn start of the summer films, you know. So really to it, the cast, James Gunn, everyone behind the film and the crew, thank you for bringing this, man, and thank you for putting it together. I really enjoyed it as a Marvel fan, as a Guardians fan. It really is exciting, and this is the 15th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The 15th one. We're barely going to be a decade next year with Iron Man. Almost a decade, and we're 15 films in. 9 years later, 15 films in. That's insane. So, thank you guys so much for watching. if you enjoyed this spoiler review and kind of really my thoughts on the film. Do you have different thoughts on it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. Thank you guys again so much. You could like, comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to look out for my full movie review and what I give it out of a 1 to a 10. What score am I giving it? And it's definitely a Blu-ray pickup day one. Watch it in theaters. Watch it again. Watch it a third time. Is it better than Logan? And I just kind of want to answer that question now. I don't know. I saw Logan 2 times in theaters. I really enjoyed. But we're talking about a different type of movie from R-rated superhero. Not really even. It's not even a superhero film. It's just a drama. And Logan's fantastic. I don't know. You're talking about 2 different films, so I don't think it's fair to say Logan versus. They're both different feelings, both different action. I don't think you can really fight those 2. But Guardians, I think Volume 2 is better than the first one. I think it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy 1. That's not saying Guardians of the Galaxy 1's horrible. It's still enjoyable, but the villain's better. Not that the effects were bad in the first one at all. I'm just saying the effects were better, more polished. Drax has more better scenes. All the characters have more better scenes. I guess the only one complaint as well is I felt Chris Pratt and Gamora sometimes when they talked, their reactions weren't believable. They were like, whoa, like they weren't like, whoa, holy crap, like it was just like Chris Pratt was kind of like, whoa. Crazy. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, what the? This is crazy. This can't be real. Like, you know what I mean? Put a little juice to it. Come on. It felt a little bit like it was kind of not good reactions from Gamora or them. So it was really stale at times. And I don't know if anyone saw that too, but it happened a few times with Star-Lord. So, anyway, holler at me if you agree with that one. Thanks again. Till next time, I will see you for other films where we'll be doing spoiler reviews for. I still got to do a spoiler review for Logan. I will get to that, but do not forget, we will be doing the same thing of a spoiler review for Wonder Woman, which is 1 month away. Thank you guys again. We'll talk about it later. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Watch it if you haven't. I just spoiled it all for you. Stan Lee, he's a watcher. So, I don't know if that still kind of ties in all the other universes. I mean, he didn't cameo in X-Men Apocalypse, did he? No, he didn't. Nor he didn't even cameo in Fantastic Four. Oh my God! But he cameoed in Deadpool, so that's gonna probably be interesting to the watchers. I was a DJ at the strip club, ladies and gentlemen. Chastity, So we'll see what happens there. Poor Stan didn't get his ride back home. Maybe Thanos gave him a ride, or maybe the Silver Surfer did. See you guys later. Bye-bye.